Well, good morning to you all. Bearded Welshman here, obviously. Said I wasn't going to be on much. I don't plan to be, but I'm out and about this morning. Had to run to the post office. By the way, taking care of some business here. Smoking some Skiff mixture. Some of the brand new batch I got in the mail. In my favorite pipe, of course. The Svenborg. And I have my coffee always black, never defiled with any type of cream or sugar. So I'm heading down through a little borough called Highspire, down along the river, not far from where I shot that video months ago. It's taking a long way home. It's such a beautiful day out. Went back to physical therapy yesterday, and I'm a hurting dog today. The older you get, the harder it is to recover. So I'm in quite a bit of pain. So I'm going to make the best of it. I'm not going to complain about it. Anymore in this video. So this is the area I grew up in, Middletown area, Pennsylvania. Up here on the right is a place called Twin Kiss Ice Cream. And I can remember as a kid that we would go there. It's just coming up at the right, on the right is the light. As a kid, after baseball, right there on the right hand side, we would go, whether we won or whether we lost, to get ice cream. And it was a special thing. And it was once a week. Parents would pass the hat around. Sorry about that, passing construction. Collect money. And then all the kids would drive down and we'd get ice cream. And we'd all pile into a couple of cars, the ball players. It was pretty cool. And if we won, the tradition was you would drive through town, where we lived, and you would drive, and the windows would be open, and you'd have your baseball hats in your hands and waving them out the windows, and you would be singing, "We are number one, we are number one, hey, 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 we are number one." And the whole way down to the ice cream shop, if you won, that's what you did, you sang that. And the parents were beeping the horns, and it was tradition, man, it was. And you just don't see that anymore. And that brought up a memory. I forgot all about that until I saw Twin Kiss, that's how we used to do things. It was so good back then. Life was so good as a kid. Just a great childhood. Truck in front of me was a company I used to work for. Whoa, he almost took out that UPS truck. And just wonderful memories. To the left, there used to be a plaza. There's a little portion of the building left of the original plaza. And eventually it's going to get torn down once those leases are up. And there was a Kresge's in there. And a little trivia for you. You know what Kresge's turned into? Kmart. Kresge's became Kmart. And they had a soda fountain bar in there. And we used to ride our bikes down. And the building to the left was a James Way Plaza. It used to be James Way. I don't know if you guys ever heard of James Way. But Kresge's was in there. There was a barber shop that I grew up going to. Ended up taking my boys there when they got their first haircuts to the same barber that cut my hair when I was a little boy. And there was a Montgomery Ward. There was a hobby shop. There was a pharmacy. It was called Ray and Derrick Drugs. There was the Pantry Pride grocery store. And over time, just went away. This whole area to the right is Jednota Estates. It's Slovak Catholic estate, and they've sold a portion of it off. There was a convent there, and for every year they'd have a big picnic for the community, and a big, huge picnic. So people would come from all around. We'd go to the Jednota Estates picnic. A lot of fun. But this whole area was built up based upon the airport, which is to our left. It's now called Harrisburg International Airport. I don't know why it's international, because there ain't nothing international about it. It's a big airport. Air Force One does touch and goes there all the time, practicing. It's big enough to land. It was one of the sites picked to be able to land the space shuttle in an emergency. It's got that long of a runway. It sits right along the river. But it used to be called Olmsted Air Force Base. And it was built during World War II. And the community we're turning into now is the community I grew up in. And was built in the late 50s, maybe late 50s. Shope's Gardens was a farm, huge farmland owned by the Shope family. This is the street I grew up on. We just passed the ballpark to the left that I used to go down and play, and we were outside every day. Now, up here on the right where you see the RV parked, that is where I used to live on the other side of the RV where the blue car is. Next to it, that was where I grew up with the red door. That was my home. They remodeled it. We were going to look at it, my wife and I. And before he even got halfway through remodeling it, somebody inquired about it. And he remodeled it to the person's specifications. So we missed out. Oh well. Is what it is. Wonderful community to grow up in. It's nothing like it used to be. Everybody knew everybody. The families hung out together. We had block parties. We had community parties. We had a civic association, which my mom and dad were both highly involved in. And directly in front of us was another farm. I can't remember the name of the farm. But if you ever heard of the Star Barn, look up the Star Barn, Dauphin County, Pennsylvania, or Star Barn, Middletown, PA. It's no longer in Middletown. It's down in Lancaster County. They removed it and all the other structures. It was an icon. Where that church sits now was farmland. And that other church on the right is another big church. And that was the horse field, the pasture. And we used to walk down with sugar cubes and apples. And we would feed the horses. And the barn was to the right, this right turn on the road. And it had all these beautiful architectural structured little outbuildings and went with the barn there. It was beautiful. And there is a man who goes around and restores them. And he has a big estate down in Elizabethtown, just the next county over. And he completely restored the Star Barn and its other buildings. And he holds events there, weddings, private events. And his passion is taking old buildings and restore them. This red brick building that you're seeing in the front, that is Garden Chapel, which is now a home. We're going to pass it. You'll see it real good. This is the church I grew up in. Look at how small that is. That was a Mennonite church years ago, and it was closed up. And to the right, where the driveway was, there was stables. And when I was a kid, we'd go to church there. There was still stables. And every year we held a live nativity scene around Christmas time. And it was just a small town church. And a guy came into town, came into the development, lived right down the street from us, got to know his neighbors, and he built that church up. And that church has since moved a quarter of a mile away, same area. They built a new building because they grew that much. And that new pastor I know very well, and he is a great guy. And there's the school I went to on the left, my elementary school. And ahead is the Williams Farm. No relations to me. Williams Dairy Farm. It's up for sale. They were going to build, and the township turned it down. There's a pond here to the left. We used to go up there and fish for sunfish all the time. Mr. Williams was always good to us. He would always let us come up and fish. He would let us come up and hunt. We would hunt rabbit. And he had a huge swath of land. There was Shope's, there was Williams, there was Messick's farm. Shope's and Messick's developed out. Mr. Williams, still alive, and he is developing, he has sold off a portion, and right here, as you can see, is being developed into 55 plus community. To the left, he's trying to sell the land off, but the township turned down a project that was going to go there. They were going to put I think a warehousing or something, distribution center or something in there. But I think people in the township want developed for houses. Problem is, taxes are way too high. Way too high in this township. That's why we won't buy. We rent the next township over, and we're looking to buy, as you know. Taxes are just too high. I won't pay the taxes here. The property taxes are out of control. And it's a shame, because I had man, if I could go back and do my childhood again, I would. I wouldn't change a thing. It was great. I had an awesome mom and dad. They were great parents. And this ahead in front of us was another farm, Ebenezer Farm, and to the right is Ebenezer United Methodist Church. So this whole area was huge farmland, huge farmland. The whole South Central Pennsylvania area was a lot of farming, a lot. And as the years went by in progress, developments came in. With the air base going in during World War II, it brought a lot of people in. To the right's an original farmhouse. There was a lot of development, and people moved into the area. And as the area developed, and we're close to the capital city of Pennsylvania, Harrisburg, more people were moving in, businesses were moving in, so that brought families, and a lot of the farmland started disappearing, which is a shame, but that's progress, folks, and we live with that. So, and now we're coming up on another farm, and I can't remember the name of this farm. Still stands, but there's a horse farm. The horse farmer bought a lot of the land off of this farm that's right in front of us, and developed it. They do a lot of horses, and you can see the sheep out there on the right, and it's a sheep farm over there. There's a huge horse ranch because we have Penn National Hollywood Casino race courses close by, and they must be getting ready to develop the farmland here on the right, because they're doing some digging, starting to do some digging. So a lot of this is Yeah, it was all farmland. That's a grave site. That headstone that you saw, that is a grave site for the family. I think they were the farmers that originally owned it. This farmland here. And then you'll see a ball field here. This was the ball field that we used to play on when there's a teener ball field up top, and then down below was the other ones. And about tennis courts, basketball courts, and fond memories. Hollywood Drive, Hollywood Park. Good to see people out mowing grass. But it's just a wonderful, wonderful childhood in this area. I'm gonna miss it. We're gonna move away. I'm gonna miss it. I'm 51 years old, so I've been here 50 years. My parents moved to Pennsylvania to this area when I was 1. And it's bittersweet moving away because it's where I grew up. My brothers have been gone from the area for a long time. My mom's been gone, good Lord, over 10 years now from this area. She lives with my brother down near Philadelphia. So it's just me and my wife's family, and my kids. All still live in the area. But it's time to move on. It's time for me and my wife to move on. We want a little bit of land. We don't want to pay a lot in taxes. And in this area, you're just not going to find that. So, we're probably going to move across the river. Loading up another pipe. With some fireside. Skipped mixture the first time. We got some fireside in now. So, just a beautiful area. AMP. These buildings that we're seeing in front of us on the left and the right used to be AMP. They're now Tyco, or it was Tyco, now it's TE Connectivity, computers and stuff like that. They were here before I was born. My father-in-law worked for AMP, and then when AMP sold out, they gave him the option of early retirement, and he took it and gave him a beautiful package. So he went to the state and worked there for 25 years. He's got 2 retirements, 2 pensions, plus he's collecting Social Security. He did very well for himself. I think he was an engineer. Engineer. Because when he first started out, he went to Florida and he helped design and work on, I believe it was Apollo 11, when we were first going into space back in the 60s. A man has got stories that are out of this point, and that's the community I live in, to the right. But he just, he's had an interesting life himself. My father-in-law. I would love to interview him on YouTube to get him to tell stories about his days down at NASA, but I don't think he would do it. And my wife's grandfather, he was a World War II veteran, and he would sit and tell me stories. And he was in his 90s when I met him, and when he passed away, I was very saddened by that. But he would talk to me about his days in the Army. He served under, I believe it was General Patton. And most guys didn't talk about World War II until their late years. We saw it in Band of Brothers. And I always felt that ashamed that we should make that As you can see, I'm home and backing into my driveway. I always felt that it was a shame, but those men were heroes. And they didn't brag. That's not the type of men they were. It's not how they did it. Until they got older. We needed to hear those stories, and I'm glad that those stories are now out there through movies like movie series like Band of Brothers and books like that, because it's important for us to remember what was sacrificed so we could have our freedoms. So with that, I will say God bless, and God loves you, and I love you, and light 'em up.